I never thought she'd actually hit me. Not my daughter-in-law, not the woman I helped put through nursing school, not the girl I let live in my guest house rent-free while she figured herself out. But she did. She swung so hard that I stumbled backward, my wrist slamming against the corner of the kitchen table. A sharp, blinding pain shot straight to my elbow, and for a second, everything blurred. She just stood there, staring at me with cold eyes, her jaw tight like she was daring me to speak. "You're not welcome here anymore," she hissed, then turned and walked away. Just like that. No hesitation. I stayed on the floor for a few seconds, trying to understand what had just happened. I wasn't clumsy, and I sure wasn't frail. I'm 62, and I've still got a sharp mind and a steady body. But I hadn't expected that kind of rage in her hands, or the silence that followed. My son Ethan didn't even come downstairs, the same boy I raised alone after his father left, the same boy who used to sit with me during midnight study sessions, the same boy who once called me his superwoman on graduation day. Not a single word from him, no footsteps. "No, Mom, are you okay?" Just silence. I wiped the blood off my lip with my sleeve and used a chair to pull myself up. My wrist was swelling fast, and I couldn't even curl my fingers into a fist, but I grabbed my purse and walked out. No yelling, no dramatic scene. I refused to give her that. Outside, the sun felt too bright, almost mocking me with how cheerful it was. My vision shimmered from the heat and from tears I wouldn't let fall as I sat in my car, shaking. Then my phone buzzed. A message from Ethan. "Please don't come back. It's better this way. Stay away from us." I stared at those words. Stay away from us. Not me. Not "I'm sorry, Mom," just us. Like they were a team, like I was a stranger. I didn't respond. Not yet. Instead, I drove straight to urgent care. Fractured wrist. The nurse wrapped it in a temporary cast and handed me pain meds. She asked if I wanted to report anything. I said, "Not today." But something inside me shifted that night. Something quiet and final. The next morning, I sat at the kitchen table sipping tea, staring at the folder marked Loan Cosign Docs, Ethan and Brooke, New Mortgage, and I smiled. Let me explain. Just last month, they begged me to co-sign for their dream home. "Mom, it's just until the bank clears our dual income," Ethan had pleaded. "Brooke starts her new job in 2 months. Please, it's our dream house." Of course I said yes. I always said yes until now. I opened my laptop and logged into the mortgage app. My name was still listed. The final bank approval hadn't gone through yet. They were just days away from getting approved. I clicked Withdraw Cosigner Authorization, then Confirm. Done. By this afternoon, they'd get a call saying their loan had been denied, and they'd know exactly why. I could have warned them. I could have forgiven them. But Ethan let her hurt me. And then he told me to stay away. Fine. I pressed my lips together, picked up my phone, and finally replied to his message. Nothing else. No drama. No anger. Just okay. Let him wonder what I meant. Let him wonder what I did. Because I already knew what would happen next. And I knew it would hurt. This wasn't about bruises on my skin. It was about the bruise on my heart, one my own son allowed someone else to leave. That afternoon, the phone rang, a known number. I answered. "Mrs. Reynolds, we noticed you revoked your co-signature on the Greenleaf mortgage for Ethan Reynolds and Brooke Reynolds. Is that correct?" "Yes," I said calmly. "That's correct." A short pause. "I see. Well, that will significantly impact their approval. We'll have to halt the process unless they can provide a new co-signer or additional income verification." "I understand," I said, smiling to myself. "Have a nice day." And I hung up. Less than 10 minutes later, Ethan called. I didn't answer. I sat quietly on the couch, nursing my arm, letting the phone ring. Then Brooke texted, "What did you do?" And that made me laugh. Not bitterly, but a real, deep laugh. The kind that comes from someplace you forgot existed. What did I do? Know what they did. And now they were about to learn what it cost. I went to bed early that night. My wrist throbbed, but the pain felt honest. It reminded me that I was still here, still strong. I thought about Ethan's little boy face when he was 6, how he used to hold my hand crossing the street, how proud he was when he gave me that macaroni necklace in 2nd grade. How did we get here? How did he let this happen? The next morning, I woke up to 23 missed calls and 7 voicemails, all desperate, all confused, but the last one made me freeze. "Mom, please call me. Brooke says she's pregnant." My heart stopped for a second. Pregnant. Now things were about to get complicated. But before I could even wrap my head around it, someone banged on my front door. 3 loud, hard knocks. I looked through the peephole and couldn't believe who was standing on the other side. When I opened the door, the first face I saw was Ethan. But he wasn't alone. Brooke stood just behind him, arms folded tightly, her eyes hidden behind dark sunglasses. And even with the throbbing pain in my swollen wrist, even with the ache in my ribs from the fall she caused, the first words out of her mouth weren't, "I'm sorry." They were, "You just ruined our lives." No hello, no apology, not even a fake show of concern. Ethan looked terrible, exhausted like he hadn't slept in days. His shirt was wrinkled, his hair unbrushed, and he kept glancing nervously at the folder in his hand like he was rehearsing what to say. Brooke, though, she looked like a lawyer headed into court, chin up, shoulders squared. Pulled. "I'm pregnant," she said flatly. "Did you know that when you canceled our mortgage?" I didn't respond right away. I simply stepped aside and motioned silently for them to come in. They hesitated for a moment. Ethan looked unsure. Brooke walked in like she owned the place. They sat down on the couch. I stayed standing. The silence dragged on until I finally broke it. "You hurt me," I said softly. Brooke rolled her eyes. "I tripped," she snapped. "It's not my fault you're so fragile." Ethan tried to interrupt. "Brooke." But she kept going. She was in our house, in our kitchen, judging everything I did, acting like I don't know how to raise a child I haven't even had yet. You think I'm just going to let that slide? I blinked slowly, then spoke in the calm voice of a woman who's been pushed too far. "You hit me, Brooke, and you lied to Ethan about it. Then when I didn't react how you wanted, you both shut me out, like I was some old piece of furniture you were done with." Ethan shifted uncomfortably. "She said it was an accident," he mumbled. I didn't say a word. I just raised my arm and showed him the cast. The bruises were dark now, deep purple and blue, and the swelling had gotten worse. "You didn't even come downstairs, Ethan." He looked like I'd slapped him. But this time, I didn't let the silence hang. "Why are you here?" Ethan cleared his throat and set the folder on the table, sliding it toward me. We can't get another cosigner," he said. "The bank gave us 72 hours to update the application. If we don't, the house goes to the next buyer. We'll lose it." I looked down at the folder. Updated mortgage terms, revised interest rates, a desperate typed-out plea. "Brooke's going on maternity leave," Ethan added, voice cracking slightly. "I can't cover the payments alone, not yet." I didn't pick up the folder, didn't even look again. "Do you want me back in your lives?" I asked. Ethan hesitated, then gave a small nod. "Do you want me in this baby's life?" He nodded again, slower this time. Then I turned to Brooke. "And you?" He shrugged. "You're his mom, not mine. I'll put up with you if you sign those papers." Just like that, her mask slipped. I saw her clearly for the first time. She didn't want family, she wanted security. Her voice held no warmth, only expectation. I gave a quiet smile and walked to the table. I sat down, opened the folder slowly. Brooke leaned in, smug. Ethan looked hopeful. I picked up the pen, clicked it. Then I said one sentence that flipped the entire room upside down. "I'll sign if you apologize. Out loud, right now." Brooke's face twisted with disbelief. "You're seriously going to make this about pride?" she snapped. "No," I said gently. "I'm making it about respect." The room went silent. Ethan looked at Brooke, pleading with his eyes. She stared at me like she wanted to lash out again, but now she knew better. The stakes were too high. She wasn't going to make the same mistake twice. Then with her teeth clenched and lips barely moving, she muttered, "I'm sorry, it wasn't real. Not even close. It was the kind of apology you give when your ego's been cornered with nowhere to go." Still, I held the pen above the signature line. Ethan's eyes lit up. Brooke exhaled like she'd already won. Then I stood up. "Actually," I said, "never mind." Their faces froze. I thought I could do it. I really did. But I can't. Because deep down, I know that if I help you now, you'll pretend none of this ever happened. Wait. Ethan started to rise, but I raised my good hand to stop him. "Ethan, you told me to stay away. You chose your side. Now I'm choosing mine." Brooke leaned forward, desperate. "We're pregnant," and I replied calmly. "You think I'll let my grandchild grow up homeless?" I narrowed my eyes. "You're the one who threw the first punch. Literally. And now you want me to forget everything because it's convenient." Ethan's jaw tightened. "Please, Mom," he said quietly. "We need this. Just this once." I shook my head. "I needed you once too." "The night you said nothing." I picked up the folder, walked over to the fireplace, and dropped it into the flames. Brooke screamed. Ethan didn't move. He just stood there, staring into the fire like a man who just lost something he finally realized mattered. They left without another word. I watched from the window as Brooke stormed to the car, slamming the door. Ethan lingered. He turned back once, but didn't come inside. 3 days later, the house went back on the market. They didn't get it. They ended up moving into a smaller rental across town. A friend told me Brooke's pregnancy was real, but what she didn't know is that Ethan wasn't the only person I helped this year. I had helped Brooke's sister once, a shy girl with a quiet voice and a secret. A week later, I understood why. A message request popped up on Facebook, and when I opened it, my blood ran cold. It started like any ordinary note. "Hi, Mrs. Reynolds. I know we haven't talked in a while, but I need to tell you something. It's about Brooke, and it's serious. It was from Rachel, Brooke's younger sister. I hadn't seen her in almost a year. Rachel had always been softer than Brooke, the nervous one at family dinners, the girl with kind eyes who stayed behind to help me clean up after a holiday party, while Brooke ran upstairs to take selfies in a new dress. I sat still, staring at the message. Something in Rachel's tone felt urgent, too serious for small talk. I hit accept and typed back, "I'm listening." Her reply came instantly. "I know you probably don't believe anything good about me or my family after what Brooke did, but I can't hold this in anymore. She's not pregnant." She lied to Ethan. She lied to everyone. I blinked at the screen. What? Another message appeared right away. "He panicked after you canceled the mortgage. She told Ethan she was expecting so he wouldn't cut her off, but she's not. I'm sorry. I have proof." Attached was a screenshot of a text thread between Rachel and Brooke. In it, Brooke had written, "If I say I'm pregnant, he'll beg his mom to forgive me. We'll get the loan, the house, everything. Then maybe I'll actually think about getting pregnant." I stared at the screen, not feeling shocked. Just cold, heavy, like the last piece of hope inside me had finally turned to stone. Rachel sent another message. "I shouldn't be telling you this, but I couldn't keep watching. Ethan deserves better. You deserve better. I'm sorry for waiting this long." I took a breath and typed back, "Thank you for telling me. I believe you." That was all. No anger, no gloating. But in my mind, things were already moving. I had made peace with staying away from them. I had let go of the dream of birthday parties with my grandchild, of school plays and messy pancakes in my kitchen. But now I understood. This wasn't just about Brooke hitting me. It wasn't just about Ethan staying silent. It was about a lie so big it had swallowed my son whole, and he was still tangled in it. I sat with that for a long moment, then picked up the phone. Not to call Ethan, not to call Brooke, to call my lawyer. "Miss Coleman," I said when she answered, "do you remember the trust account we set up for Ethan a few years ago?" "Yes," she replied. "The one scheduled to release after his first child is born?" "That's the one." "I want it frozen immediately. Put it under review." She hesitated. "Is something wrong?" Let's just say, I replied, the birth certificate might be missing a name permanently. The next morning, Ethan texted me. Please, Brooke's stressing out. We lost the house. I'm trying to fix things, but she says you're turning everyone against us. Just tell me what you want. I didn't answer. Not yet. That afternoon, I went to the grocery store. Just normal errands. Apples, bread, coffee. But as I reached for a can of soup, I heard a voice behind me. Mrs. Reynolds? I turned. It was Rachel. She looked tired, a little anxious, but sincere. We stood there in the aisle, two women standing at the edge of a storm. I didn't think I'd run into you, she said, adjusting the strap on her tote bag. But I'm glad I did. I gave her a small nod. Me too. We stood quietly for a moment, then she said something that stopped me cold. Brooke's done this before. My breath caught. What do you mean? She fakes things, crises, trauma, ever since we were teenagers. She once faked a stalker to get an ex-boyfriend back. Another time, she pretended to have a medical scare just to quit a job she didn't like. Lying is how she survives. I leaned on the cart. And Ethan. Rachel looked down. He's in too deep. He's used to chaos now. I think he believes this is normal, but it's not. I'm scared for him. I studied her face. She meant every word. Right then, I made a decision I hadn't planned. Rachel, would you testify if it came to that? Her eyes widened. Testify, just in case it becomes necessary. She hesitated, then nodded slowly. Yes, if it helps him, I'll do it. We parted ways after that. I gave her my number, and she promised to stay in touch. That night I sat alone in my living room, the fire crackling beside me, the ear thick with everything unsaid. My phone buzzed. A voicemail from Ethan. His voice was ragged, worn down. Mom Brooke's missing. She left the apartment this morning and hasn't come back. She won't answer texts. Her phone's off. I don't know what to do. There was a long pause. Then his voice lowered. I found your old ring box on the dresser, the one Dad gave you. It was open and empty. My heart stopped. I hadn't touched that ring in years. It had been locked away in my bedroom drawer. Ethan's voice cracked with panic. Please call me, please. I didn't move, because I already knew what this meant. Brooke had stolen something. She wasn't running from Ethan. She was running from me. The ring was gone. The ring my late husband gave me for our anniversary 20 years ago. A simple white gold band with a rare oval sapphire, framed by diamonds so small they looked like morning dew. It wasn't flashy. It wasn't something you wore every day, but to me it was priceless. And now it was gone. Ethan's voicemail kept replaying in my head. She left the apartment. She won't answer. The ring box was open. I didn't panic. I didn't even raise my voice. I walked calmly to my bedroom, opened the drawer I hadn't touched in months. The little red velvet box was still there, but when I flipped it open, empty, gone. Brooke had been in my house. Somehow while I was out, she'd taken the only thing I had left from a life before all this betrayal, before the silence, before the bruises. He took it, and now she was gone. I called Ethan. He picked up on the first ring. Mom, tell me everything from the start, he said, his voice shaky. She was spiraling. After the loan fell through, she was screaming, throwing things, saying you were trying to destroy her. I tried calming her down, but she wasn't listening. I went to work this morning, and when I came back, she was gone. Her stuff's still here, but the lockbox was open. I didn't even know you brought that ring here. Why would she? She didn't know about the ring, I said quietly, unless someone told her. Silence. Then Ethan muttered, Rachel. I didn't answer. He was right. Rachel must have mentioned it, maybe by accident, maybe as a warning. And Brooke, desperate and vindictive, saw her chance. I didn't blame Rachel, not completely. But this changed everything. I already reported the ring stolen, Ethan said. Filed a police report. You didn't give them her name, did you? I asked. Another pause. No. Why? She's still my wife, he said weakly, and she's pregnant. She's not, I said flatly. What? She lied. Rachel showed me everything. Text screenshots. Brooke isn't pregnant, Ethan. I heard him go completely silent. Then in a broken whisper, No, you're wrong. I'm not. He didn't argue. He didn't deny it. He spoke. On the other end of the line, I listened as my grown son began to cry. It wasn't loud. It wasn't angry. It was that guttural kind of crying that starts in your chest and tears its way up. I didn't interrupt him. I let him cry. Because this was the sound of a man realizing his life had been built on a lie. When he finally spoke, his voice was shredded. I believed her. I believed every word. I gave up my mom. I let her hurt you. And I believed she was carrying my child. She hurt us both, I said gently. But it's not too late to fix it. He sniffed. How? How do we find her? It didn't take long because Brooke was never subtle. I checked the pawn shops first, 4 of them. At the 5th, a man finally recognized the photo of the ring I still had saved on my phone from years ago. Yeah, he said. Lady came in yesterday. Said it was a gift from her grandmother. Wanted to trade it for cash and a plane ticket. Asked if we knew anyone who'd do it under the table. Where was she going? I asked. He shrugged. Didn't say. But she had a duffel bag. Looked like she was running. I'll call you if she comes back. 2 hours later, my phone rang. She's here, the shop owner whispered. She changed her mind. Wants the ring back. We're stalling her. I grabbed my keys and drove like my tires were on fire. When I walked in, I saw her. Brooke standing at the counter, sunglasses on indoors, hoodie pulled low, arguing with the owner. She turned when the door shut behind me. Her face went pale. Give it back, I said firmly. She blinked. What? The ring. Give it back. I don't have it. You tried to sell it for cash. You were seen. It's over. Her eyes darted around, then she straightened, her entire posture shifting. You don't understand what I'm dealing with, she snapped. Ethan left me. Rachel's poisoning everyone against me. You took everything from me, and now you want this too? That ring wasn't even yours to begin with. No one spoke. No one backed her up. Then with a sharp motion, she yanked her bag open and pulled out a box. She shoved it toward me. Here, she hissed. Take it. It's cursed anyway. I opened it. The ring was inside. But something felt wrong. It was too light, too polished. I held it to the light. The sapphire glimmered, but not with the same deep blue I knew by heart. This wasn't my ring. I looked at her, and her smirk widened. You think I'm that stupid? She said. You think I wouldn't make a copy just in case? My stomach turned. Where's the original? He shrugged. Guess you'll have to figure that out. And then she walked past me out the door. I stood frozen holding the fake ring. He had the real one, and I had no proof. The pawnshop owner looked uneasy. I'm sorry, he muttered. It's okay, I lied. But it wasn't. I went home and sat in silence. The game had changed. Brooke wasn't just angry anymore. He was calculating, thick, dangerous. The next morning, a letter arrived. No return address. Just one line written in bold, sharp handwriting. Next time, it won't just be a ring. I stared at it for a long time. Then I picked up the phone and called my lawyer again because I had one last card left. I held the letter in my hands for almost an hour. One sentence written in thick black ink. Next time, it won't just be a ring. No signature. No return address. But I didn't need either. I knew exactly who sent it. Brooke. Even after everything, the assault, the lies, the fake pregnancy, the stolen ring, she still thought she had power over me. She still believed she could scare me. And for just 1 second, I almost let that fear crawl back in. But then I remembered who I was. I hadn't survived cancer, widowhood, and 2 jobs while raising a son alone, just to be bullied by a girl with a fake smile and a temper tantrum. I took a deep breath and made my final move. The next morning, I sat across from Ms. Coleman in her quiet office, sunlight falling across her wooden desk like a spotlight on my decision. I want to revise the trust, I said. Her eyebrows lifted. For Ethan. Yes, but with conditions. I slid a printed document across the desk, a screenshot of Brooke's text to Rachel, admitting she faked the pregnancy to manipulate both Ethan and me. Ms. Coleman read it, her lips pressing into a thin professional line. I want Ethan to receive the full trust amount, I continued, but only if he meets with me in person to acknowledge what's happened, and only if he files for divorce. That's a strong condition, she said carefully. She's a strong threat. Ms. Coleman nodded slowly, picking up her pen. And if he refuses? Then the money goes to someone who actually stood up for me. Someone who told me the truth. I slid another paper forward. At the top was Rachel's name. For the first time in weeks, Ms. Coleman smiled. I'll draft it today. I left her office feeling lighter than I had in months. That afternoon, I sent Ethan a photo of the revised trust paperwork. The header read, Revised Distribution Plan. 5 minutes later, my phone rang. Mom, he said breathlessly, what's going on? You lied for her, I said calmly. But I'm giving you one chance, just one. Come here. Talk to me. There was a long pause. Then quietly, I'm on my way. When he arrived, he looked older, thinner, like he hadn't slept in days. He closed the door behind him and stood there, awkward and quiet, like a little boy about to be scolded. I deserve it, he said finally. You do, I agreed. I knew about the pregnancy, he admitted. I found the test in the trash. It was unused, but I let myself believe anyway. Because if she was lying, then I'd thrown everything away for nothing. And if she was telling the truth, then maybe you were the problem, not me. I stayed silent, waiting. He sank onto the couch, rubbing his face. She changed after we got married. She was controlling, secretive. She didn't want me talking to you. She told me you were trying to manipulate me. And you believed her, I said. He nodded, shame flickering in his eyes. I was stupid. No, I said gently. You were scared. He looked up at me. His voice cracked. I miss you, Mom. I nodded once. Then he reached into his pocket and pulled something out. It was the real ring. My heart skipped. She mailed it back to me yesterday, he said softly, handing it over, with a note that said it didn't sell. Might as well give it back to your mommy. The moment my fingers closed around it, I felt whole again. Ethan's eyes glistened. She left me, he whispered. Said I was useless now, that I was dragging her down. She moved in with someone else. Someone else. He nodded. A guy named Brent from her office. She's been cheating on me for months. I leaned back, letting the silence settle over us. I'm sorry, he said finally, for everything. Words don't fix broken bones, I replied, holding up my still healing wrist, but they're a start. I'll do anything to make it right. I slid the trust paperwork toward him. Then start with this. He scanned it, eyes widening. You're still giving this to me? If you file for divorce, and you go to therapy. He looked down, nodded. I will. And there's one more thing. He looked up quickly. What is it? You apologize. Publicly. At the next family gathering. His mouth fell open slightly, but I didn't flinch. You shamed me in front of everyone, I continued. You stood by a woman who lied to me, hurt me, called me names. You let them all think I was the one who abandoned you. That ends now. Ethan swallowed hard, then nodded. Okay. When he finally left, he paused at the door. Mom, why did you even agree to co-sign the mortgage in the first place, after everything Brooke said to you? I smiled softly. Because I wanted to believe the best in you even when you didn't. He swallowed again, then left. 3 weeks later, I got a court confirmation. Ethan had officially filed for divorce. His therapist even sent me an email saying he hadn't missed a single session. And on Easter Sunday at our family potluck, Ethan stood up in front of everyone, his cousins, his aunts, his little nieces, and told the truth. He didn't sugarcoat it. He didn't make excuses. My mother deserved better, he said, voice steady, and I failed her. There wasn't a dry eye in the room. When he sat back down, I reached across the table and held his hand. Later that night, I took out the ring, placed it carefully back in its velvet box, and set it on the highest shelf of my closet, safe where no one could ever touch it again. A week later, Rachel came by. We sat in the garden sipping tea. He smiled more now, softer, lighter. "I'm glad he's okay," she said. "He will be," I replied. She looked at me carefully. "Do you ever wish you'd handled things differently?" I shook my head. No, because sometimes the only way people learn is when they lose everything they tried to take. She nodded, and we both turned as Ethan walked into the garden, smiling, holding flowers. We sat there for hours, talking, laughing, just being. And for the first time in a long, long time, it felt like family again. No fear, no lies, no manipulation, just healing, peace.